restoring our health care rights, restoring criminal justice reform, restoring, I guess, the ability to have a good job, to restore public education funding. There are very many things, but I would like to say this. I actually am the only candidate that's actually passed legislation, ferreted it through a body, and gotten it passed that's Republican. And I will use those same skills to bring back the bacon to Texas 18. I am a fighter, just like when I left for the quorum break. I fought for our voting rights, and I didn't come back because I knew they were going to steal 2 black seats, and one of the seats that they racially gerrymandered was this very district, Texas 18. I'm proud to say that I'm endorsed by Craig Washington. You guys mentioned him. And what I know is Texas 18 has been represented by people who are fighters, and I am that fighter. I'm a 30-year lawyer. I will use those skills to bring back the bacon to Texas 18. And then after that, I will run for re-election.
All right, thank you, Ms. Jones. Isaiah?
Well, good evening, Afro Tech. I'm excited to be here and have this conversation with you guys. It's very important. Ultimately, what we understand is that in December, looks like we're going to have another Republican budget that goes up for a vote. The last Republican budget only passed by 1 vote. I can say definitively that I will vote against any type of ridiculous cuts to health care and anything else that Donald Trump wants to do. There's a lot of health care subsidies, particularly with Obamacare, that the Republicans are trying to get rid of. They don't even need to ask my opinion. I'm going to vote against it. In addition to that, I think that this position needs somebody that understands what Washington, D.C. is like. Spent 4 years with Congresswoman Jackson Lee and served as her senior advisor. Worked with her on a variety of legislation, on how to bring federal dollars right here directly to the district. And most importantly, go and identify the poison pills that Republicans put inside their legislation. I know how to do that. Oftentimes I sat on the phone with her at 4 o'clock in the morning going through legislation to figure out what's the deal. But in addition to that, I'll also work to present a new vision for the future. I'll file legislation to axe the Trump tax, the tariffs that are raising the cost of everything that we buy. I support guaranteeing health care and child care to stop people from paying so much. And it's that type of boldness, that type of audacity of why so many people are supporting our campaign. Got the most momentum in this race with the biggest fundraising quarter in the history of the 18th Congressional District, 30,000 people giving an average of $19 a person. That's the energy I'll use to fight for you in Washington, D.C.
All right, thank you, Mr. Martin. Ms. Edwards?
Thank you for this question and the opportunity. My name is Amanda Edwards, and I'm a former at-large Houston City Council member. I also happen to be an attorney and someone who has been born, raised, and still lives in this 18th Congressional District. It's personal to me that we get this right. When I was growing up, my father was ill. He fell sick with something called multiple myeloma when I was 10 years old and died from it when I was a teenager. But I'll never forget asking my father questions like, what would happen if the insurance company said no to the life-saving treatments that my father needed? And I'll never forget his responses. He would always say to me, well, we would just have to figure something else out. And I knew then, just like I know now, that that was the wrong answer. The right answer should have been that we have systems in place that work for people, systems in place that save lives rather than harm them. And so I will be committed as the next Congresswoman for this district to make sure we have systems that work for people when it comes to healthcare access, when it comes to economic opportunity so that everybody in this district can have the opportunity to thrive, when it comes to education and publicly funded education, being able to provide the much needed support needed for our students to have a bright future. I had the opportunity to serve as an at-large city council member and know where the gaps are with policy, but also with my public finance work, know how to bring home the bacon and the resources our community will need.
Thank you, Ms. Edwards. Going to move on to Mr. Healy.
Yeah, so I've spent my entire career solving hard problems in healthcare, finance, and energy. A lot of people tell me they don't believe there's any chance for making a difference on Capitol Hill. But honestly, I've seen progress in big companies and startups. I believe that if we keep working on strategic issues, then we will see progress. Right here in our district, it feels like we're getting hardest hit by the governor and by the president. And honestly, we don't have a voice there, which is by design. And once we get up there, we have to do our best to make sure that all Americans understand it's not just our district that's getting hurt by cuts to food assistance and healthcare. Some of Trump's own supporters are getting hurt by this and they don't understand. So Democrats, we have to go into places where we're not used to going. We gotta go on Fox News and try to explain to the American people what these things are doing to other districts as well. And honestly, it gives me hope that he is willing to change his mind sometimes. And honestly, I'm also willing to work with anyone that I have to in order to get things done. So we've got to find allies. We've got to figure out how to reverse course before it's too late. I'm a native Texan. My parents went overseas to Nigeria, so I spent the second half of my childhood there. They modeled service to me. That means that you don't give up when it gets harder, you work harder, okay? So I'm willing to work with anyone I have to get things done.
Thank you, Mr. Huey. Ms. Montiel?
What would be the right? Would be this one? Yes. Or this one? Oh.
Yes, that one right in front of you.
Well, I've been a Houstonian since 1991, and I've seen this city get worse by the second. As I say always, Houston, we have a problem. This district encompasses the most important areas of our city, as it is the medical center, downtown, the east, the west, and parts of the north where the airport, Bush International Airport, is. Everything that happened in this district affects us all. And for 30 years, this district is being neglected. We've seen that our people are getting more poor. As a matter of fact, last week, there was a report in which Houston became the #1 city with most poverty in the nation. We need to do something about it. For 30 years, there's been promises. They know what the problems are, but they do nothing about it. There is $40 billion of federal money that was allocated to the city that we don't know where it is. And that will be my first action when I get in Congress, is introduce a bill to audit the city of Houston and Harris County to find the money, because we only need $1.5 billion to complete the budget to solve the flooding problem in the city, which, by the way, the mayor cut 5% of the drainage budget for the city. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Montiel. Mr. Menifee?
Thank you. I'm Christian Menifee, and I'm running for Congress in the 18th Congressional District to fight back against Donald Trump and win to protect our communities. When I was growing up, there were many nights I would not have eaten were it not for the WIC program. There were many days I would have been at school on an empty stomach were it not for free lunch in our public schools. My parents would have never purchased their first home were it not for VA down payment assistance that let them put just $500 down to buy their first house when I was in high school. I'd have never went to college without a Pell Grant. My brother almost certainly would have died from cancer without my parents' military insurance that fully funded his bone marrow transplant, and he's been in remission for more than 20 years. At every single step of the way, it was a thoughtful and helpful government. That's how you take a family like mine that sent more people to prison than to college, to me being the youngest person and the first African-American elected Harris County attorney. But if you look at what Donald Trump is doing in this country right now, every single one of those programs that allowed a kid like me, that would allow an immigrant or anybody else in this country to have their fair shot at the American dream, Donald Trump is taking it away. They're cutting Pell Grants. They're cutting SNAP benefits. They're cutting health care. They're doing every single thing they can to tie our hands behind our back so we cannot have a fair shot in this economy. The good news is if you need a fighter who's going to win against Donald Trump, you don't have to look any further than right here. I've been fighting against Donald Trump for the past 4 years. I've been fighting against Greg Abbott for the past 4 years, and we've been beating him repeatedly. When he tried to cut health care programs in our communities, I sued him and beat him. When Ken Paxton tried to get votes thrown out in Harris County, I sued him and beat him. We need somebody who's going to go to Congress and who's going to not just talk about fighting, not just put up a fight and lose, but fight and win for our communities. I'm the person for that. Christian Menifee, I hope to have your support.
Thank you, Mr. Menifee. Mr. Duncan?
Hello, I'm Vince Duncan. I'm running as an independent candidate, and that's a little difference. For the last 10 years, I've walked around the city of Houston, and I've asked the citizens what they wanted. And with me, the citizens signed a petition, a nominating petition to have my name added to the ballot, which makes it unique. I'm asking the citizens themselves what they want. So a little bit about me. As a builder, I build things. I create a blueprint, and I build from the foundation up. As a United States Congressman, I would like to rebuild District 18 by creating policies that become law. For example, we need clean air and water. We need policies that improve our public education standards. We need to create something. This is brand new language. We could create federal manufacturing zones to rebuild America's manufacturing capabilities. We could create affordable housing. We could create affordable college and universities. So now what I have is a plan, and I detail it. You know, not just in action, but action. I'm detailing just what we could do. My route to getting on the ballot was asking the
10
citizens,
seconds.
and I have a plan to show the citizens how we can make our laws work for us. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Duncan. Mr. Knox?
My name is Ollie Knox, Ollie J. Knox, and I'm running for Congress. I'm married, the father of 5. I retired from the General Motors Corporation. I am not a politician. I say what the late J.C. Penney said, and that was, I don't believe in excuses, I believe in hard work. My number one goal when I get in office is our seniors. Our seniors are hurting. My goal would be, when I get in, to give every senior, 62 years old and older, a one-time gift of $20,000. Second, keep Medicare and Social Security solvent, reinstate SNAP. Another thing that I want to do, I want to serve everybody. Nobody have mentioned our Latino brothers. I want to serve them and help them. One of the things I don't like is they're being caught up in this dragnet. Now, if you have a green card, a visa, or work to write papers, as your congressman, I will come and get you. Third, our women, young women that are working, they have children with autism. It needs to be addressed. On the north side, south side, and city gas. We need to address that. We need to help these women with children with autism. Our young men.
Thank you, Mr. Knox.
Oh,
Sorry, we have to keep moving. Just for everybody's information, we have the clock in the back, so you'll be able to know how
We
much time
cannot
we have
see
left.
it.
You can't see
Yeah.
it?
No,
Okay,
between
the
the
camera.
camera and the
Yeah.
cameraman,
Okay.
we can, it's not your fault, but, yeah.
We can work on trying to adjust it, but I'll also kind of keep you guys on
Okay.
track as well. Karina?
Do we have another candidate?
Oh, yes, welcome, Ms. Williams.
Thank you.
I will repeat the question briefly. We're just on opening statements, so you're right on time. Seeing that you will be that you will be in office for a short time before running for re-election, what is your primary agenda?
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for inviting me here. I really appreciate Afro Beats hosting all of us here today. And again, welcome to the Texas 18th Congressional District debate. My name is Valencia Williams. In 2008, I was approached by the Texas Democrat Party to be the precinct chair for my precinct, which was precinct 490. I took my precinct from the smallest voting precinct to the second largest voting precinct. So I'm a capacity builder. In 2013, upon my return from Ghana, West Africa, where I have built a school, and it's completed, and I've done much work over there. So my service extends from the United States all the way overseas. Upon my return in 2013, I was asked again by the Texas Democrat Party to be presiding judge for precinct 773, my old precinct of 490, and for the Galleria area. In 2013, I wrote legislation, the Underage Child Care Marriage Act. It was a bipartisan act. Former Congressmember Mary Landrieu of Louisiana, she actually adopted the
10
act.
seconds.
And so I'm just asking two things. One, that you elect me, and two, let my people vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Williams.
Thank you all. We're going to go on to the next question, which is in the healthcare space. According to an analysis by 46 Brooklyn Research, manufacturers have raised prices on nearly 600 brand name drugs in January 2025 alone, contributing to the escalation of prescription drug costs. What would you do to address the increase of prescription drug costs? We will begin with Mr. Isaiah Martin.
Well, I would say, first off, Donald Trump is stupid because he put tariffs on pretty much everything. And we see that that's raising the cost, particularly for our prescriptions as well as groceries and everything else. So again, I believe that if Donald Trump wants to act like a toddler that cannot control himself, we need to go and put a ability to take his tariff power away from him. I support axing the Trump tax. You want to know why you're paying more for everything? It is the Trump tax. So I will immediately file that legislation to make sure that we can take that away. In addition to that, I believe in the wealthiest nation on earth, we should be guaranteeing health care for people in this country. That means help with your prescription drugs. Why? Because if we can afford to give $4 trillion in tax cuts to folks like Elon Musk, we certainly can afford to guarantee your health care and guarantee your prescriptions. I'll immediately co-sponsor legislation to do that inside of the United States Congress, and as your next congressman, I will be doing everything I can to make this be a national issue that we take advantage of.
Thank you. Ms. Edwards?
Healthcare is my primary focus as the next congresswoman in the 18th Congressional District. There are far too many of our seniors and residents who are suffering and being left behind. Case in point, our seniors in prescription drug costs. Under the Inflation Reduction Act, we finally began to see relief for our seniors with capping the amount of prescription drug costs that could be sent over to seniors. Before that point in time, we were living in a nation where senior citizens were having to ration their prescription drugs, literally taking their prescription portion in the morning and then an over-the-counter drug in the evening in hopes that they would still be able to make ends meet and pay their bills, yet still have their prescription intact. We should never live in a country where the way we treat our seniors is to force them to actually ration prescription drugs because they are unaffordable. We finally began to make progress in this regard under the Inflation Reduction Act, and one of the first items of business when President Trump took office was to sign an executive order to begin to reverse course on that. I will be an active fighter to ensure that we are keeping and preserving the reductions that have been made for our seniors, but then also extending that to everyone in our community. It's not just seniors who have a need when it comes to prescription price reductions. And right now in our country, we have been doing a terrible job of keeping those costs at bay.
So, yes. So I have spent years in 2 healthcare startups. It's not for the faint of heart, okay? We know the complexity is enormous. The history of healthcare in this country, like insurance and all that, it's a very strange history around the time of World War II. You can go read up on that. Honestly, it's grown into be more of a monster now. And honestly, if you want to get something done on Capitol Hill, you have, even if all of the congressmen in Congress want to do something good, we have powers that we are going up against, right? A lot of people feel like the government shouldn't be involved, regulations are bad. That's not true. We want regulations to try to say what kind of society we want to live in, how we can make it better, how we can make it good for all Americans. And honestly, the health insurance companies and the pharmaceuticals have a lot of regulatory capture. Go look up that. They have a huge moat, and that means that they are not willing very easily to work with us on making things better for all Americans. So we need to make sure that we communicate to everyday Americans what they're doing and try to raise support, put pressure on the congressmen that are bowing down to those companies, and make sure that they come around to working with us to get things done in a way. We are so wealthy here, it doesn't make sense that we have such huge healthcare costs. We have the most technology. This is where things are invented. And we have the ability to provide care for people, and we're just not doing it.
Thank you. Ms. Montiel?
Thank you. Yes, big pharma is a problem. Big pharma is punishing our people, and I'm gonna give you a clear example. The glaucoma drops medication that is sold here in the United States is sold for over $80, the little bottle that is like this. If you go south the border, Mexico or any country in Latin America, that same little bottle, but the same pharmaceutical company with the same composition costs $10. Big Pharma is punishing our people. And President Donald Trump already promised that he is going to target this and reduce the cost of medication by 1,500%. He knows Big Pharma is punishing our people, and that is raising the price not only of medication, but the cost of healthcare. We have a major healthcare problem in our district when there are federal programs that can be used and implemented without extra cost to help the people of District 18, as also to help the people that are dealing with the cancer that they have acquired due to the cancer cluster in Fifth Ward and Kashmir Garden. So I will target that, and I will work with President Trump to lower the prices of medication.
Mr. Menifee?
There are two main problems that are causing prescription drugs to be way too expensive in this country. One is big business that is allowed to run rampant, and the second problem is the MAGA wing, the Donald Trump wing of the Republican Party. When my brother was battling cancer, he was at two different hospitals. One was a military hospital, and we saw at that hospital that there were many folks who were not receiving great treatment. And then he came to Houston, to MD Anderson, and he was able to use my parents' military insurance to get world-class treatment. There is no reason why in a country as developed and as successful as the United States of America, two people should be getting such different treatment. Now, if we look right here in the state of Texas, we see that we have a governor that has refused to accept the federal government's offer of expanding Medicaid. Right now, it is too expensive to buy prescription drugs in this country for the sole reason that we're allowing big business to run rampant and we're allowing MAGA Republicans to refuse the help from the federal government. So what I would do is very simple. I support government-sponsored health care for everybody. That means Medicare for all. And I'm proud to be the only candidate in this race who has been supported by the Medicare for All PAC. Nobody in this country should have to choose between life-saving treatment and putting food on their table. And the second thing is allowing the federal government to negotiate down prescription drug prices, not just for seniors, but for every single person. We can't allow corporate actors to continue to price gouge, and we can't allow Donald Trump and the MAGA Republican Party to continue to allow it to happen.
Thank you, Mr. Menifee. Ms. Williams?
Thank you again. We face two problems here in the United States of America, and I like to state facts when it comes to healthcare, so I like to do my homework. Those two things are high cost, leading to unaffordability for many, and unequal access to care, often due to a lack of adequate health insurance and geographic disparities like medical deserts. My mother was a patient over at MD Anderson Hospital. She used to go there every Friday to get bone marrow treatment. Instead of me griping about them not paying for her healthcare insurance, what I did was I joined Be the Match Foundation. And when I joined Be the Match Foundation, we got national coverage. And people began to come from the north, the south, the east, west of Houston, of the United States of America, and join with Be the Match so they could get tested to see if they were a bone marrow match for other people. And that is how I solved that particular problem. Also, with my little seconds that are left, in college, I was actually working and formulating a plan for a cure for Alzheimer's, not using topical medication. My professor called me and said, hey, I want to speak with you. What I basically said was I wanted to create an instrument that's like the instrument that we use to clean our teeth.
Thank you, Ms. Williams.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Duncan?
All right, my position is people first in politics, people first. So now, everything in America is financed by the citizens. Who's paying for research and development here in the United States? The pharmacy companies are not. I'm gonna tell you who's paying for research and development. You and I. They're getting research and development money from the Department of Health and Human Services. Who sponsors that? We do. Okay, they also get money from the National Institute of Health. Who's paying for that?
Causing groundwater contamination near the creosote site and residents want action. What steps and process would you put in place to address the cancer risk in Northeast Houston? We're going to start with you, Ms. Edwards.
With regard to the cancer cluster in one of the most historic areas in our community, which is Fifth Ward, we need to put all hands on deck in addressing this issue, starting with, of course, making sure that the EPA's involvement does not wane in light of the administration change that has taken place. We need their presence, we need their active listening and engagement and being proactive in terms of getting to the bottom of what exactly is going on and us resolving that challenge. What we also need is to continue to amplify the voices of our residents, those residents who have been unheard for generations. It's personal to me because my family is from that area, and so my uncles used to own the old C&L shoe repair on Lyons Avenue. My mother worked at St. Elizabeth Hospital until it closed in 1989. And so for us, and when I think about the cancer even that we've been exposed to, you have to wonder, what could it have been in terms of the causation? And so we've got to get to answers when it comes to the testing, but we also then need to have a comprehensive solution. What do we do with those residents that have been exposed, and how do they get restored into a position where they have an equitable outcome? I think we've got to stay focused on bringing public-private partnerships together so we can have a fund that focuses on equitable outcomes and relocation for those that need it. We need to hold Union Pacific accountable for what has happened,
Thank you,
and
Ms.
then
Edwards.
do the remediation necessary to keep people safe that are there.
Thank you so much, Ms. Edwards.
Thank
Mr.
you.
Huey?
Unfortunately, not everyone is treated equally. We can imagine that a wealthy part of our city would see this resolved very quickly. And that's not always the case, but that's why someone in the seat is meant to amplify the needs of people. My faith compels me to speak up for those in need, and I'm a little discouraged because this week we saw something in the news about the EPA relaxing restrictions on emissions right here in the Houston area. It's like, I thought when I was a kid that we were gonna breathe easier when I was an adult, and still, time after time, we see this back and forth of people trying to ruin our air or introduce carcinogens into our environment. So we can't wholly rely on the EPA at the federal level. Let's hope that they would respond in a timely manner, but we should use our voice to put pressure on Texas and other local authorities to come together and to resolve this problem, because we've seen time and time again that marginalized communities are ending up worse off, and it's not right. It's not respecting human dignity.
Thank you, Mr. Huey. Ms. Montiel?
Well, I'm glad to see that my contenders are taking my ideas and using it. As I said, the issue of the cancer cluster has been there for over 20 years. It's been a political talking point, but nobody has done absolutely anything about it, just to talk about it and promise they're gonna solve it. This is easy. We have to engage EPA and make it active and responsible for the cleanup of the area. We have to engage Union Pacific, who is the source of this cancer cluster and contamination of creosol. They need to be responsible and engage into the cleaning of the area, because not only adults, but little children are dying as the cause of this cancer cluster. Enough is enough, and I will be active into doing this, because what I also see is they're trying to drive the residents of the area out. So it looks to me they're trying to regentrifying the area, and once they move the people out, they're going to clean it up and sell their homes. So I promise you that I will be active, and you will not lose your home, and also you will be living in a safe and clean environment. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Montiel. Mr. Menifee?
The cancer cluster in Fifth Ward has been going on for generations, yet most of the people sitting up here with me have done absolutely nothing about it. They haven't spent a single day in Fifth Ward and walked the streets. They haven't talked to anybody's grandmother out there who was battling cancer. They have not invested any time, and now all of a sudden everybody's interested in the cancer cluster. I've been fighting on this issue for years, and I'm gonna tell you the two main obstacles to getting something done with this cancer cluster, and that is Greg Abbott, and that is Donald Trump. When the initial testing was done and people across those communities have been crying out for years, for decades, my cousin has cancer, my auntie has cancer, my niece has cancer, It went to the state environmental regulatory agency, and they were supposed to come in and test. They were going to approve a cleanup plan that would have set that community back decades. I was there along with the late Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee, along with then Mayor Sylvester Turner, and we were making our voices heard, and ultimately the cleanup plan was rejected because that's what the community wanted. And after we worked hard and fought hard to get something filed so that we could get the EPA and their federal resources right there at the front door, Donald Trump got elected and he cut 60% of the offices at the EPA. He eliminated the Environmental Justice Department at the EPA. You cannot get anything done in Fifth Ward until we're prepared to stand up to Donald Trump and Greg Abbott, who couldn't care less about our communities. The cancer cluster did not start yesterday. It didn't start a week ago, and you should not be voting for anybody for Congress who just found out about it when they decided to put their name on the ballot.
Thank you, Mr. Menifee. Next we have Ms. Williams.
Can I have the rest of your 8 seconds that are left?
Absolutely.
But thank you very much. I don't believe in just taking things from people. I believe in asking. When it comes to the cancer cluster that is in Fifth Ward, I have stepped on many toes at the city of Houston, from the former mayor Sylvester Turner and a lot of local Houston politicians. Why is that? Monies were dedicated to relocating every single person in the cancer cluster. How much? $5 million. Not one person in Cashmere Gardens or Fifth Ward was notified about these monies that were available. That money is available to them. It's not available to any mayor. It's not available to any state representative, no state senator, no city council member, no Harris County judge, no county clerk, not even to Mr. Menifee. So as he rightfully stated, himself, Sylvester Turner, and Sheila Jackson Lee have been in politics in Houston for a very long time, for generations. This $5 million was available. Why didn't they go to the community and say, we have $5 million for you guys so that you can relocate anywhere you want to while we clean up Cashmere Gardens in Fifth Ward? The fact of the matter is they didn't do it. And the major question is, where is that $5 million?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Williams. And because we've had the mention of another candidate, we're going to go into a 30-second rebuttal. Mr. Menifee.
We shouldn't be electing people who ask questions they should know the answer to. That $5 million is with the city budget right now because the new mayor decided that they weren't going to move forward with the relocation plan. This is not complicated. If the contamination in the dirt cannot be cleaned up, then that's not the type of thing that you can move people to the left to remediate and then move them back. And in fact, it was the people in Fifth Ward who said that they did not want to be relocated. So maybe the candidates up here should spend more time in Fifth Ward, in Cashmere Gardens, talking to the people who actually live there, and you would learn that they did not want to be relocated.
May I?
Thank you, Mr. Menifee. We have to proceed with
Just 2 seconds.
the next candidate.
May I have 2 seconds of your time?
You want to give 2 seconds of your time? Okay.
Thank you very much. The fact of the matter is that $5 million was given.
It's 2 seconds.
Was given in 2023. Mr. Menifee does know where that money is because, like he said, himself, former Mayor Sylvester Turner, may he rest in peace, and former Congressmember Sheila Jackson Lee, may she rest in peace. They were all together when those monies were allocated. And the people did go on television to say they wanted to be relocated. We couldn't find that footage.
Thank you.
Thank
Ms.
you.
Williams. Mr.
Okay.
Duncan.
Hey, look, I think we need to re-examine the end goal on what we want to do. At that time when they were building the railroads, and we need the railroads because they transport everything we need. We need interstate commerce, and that's what they were there for. During those times, the railroad paid for their labor to live close to where the jobs were. And that was that model during that time. In the Fifth Ward community that I'm from, they financed a lot of those houses were financed by the railroad companies. And so the people live close. Now, who oversees the EPA, the Congress? So every chemical that they have, the people know about it, and we know, and so it's a tightrope. Some of the people wanted to stay, some don't want to stay, but right now the city of Houston is still issuing permits. I'm from the Fifth Ward area. They issue permits right now. I say it all the time. I say, I thought they was leaving. They building brand new houses as we speak. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Duncan. Mr. Knox?
I will get you an answer. I've heard, different views, but I will get you an answer. And I will publicize it, but I will get you an answer. from the EPA what is going on, because we need an answer, we need a clear answer. And people of Fifth Ward deserve to know their options. And I will get you an answer. I'll say that, and I'll go on the record to say that I will get you an answer. People need to know. They need to have options, and I will get you an answer. It won't be no back and forth. You know, if you say something, you need to be able to back it up. But I will get you an answer. I'll say that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Knox, and thank you again, Mr. Duncan, for being so gracious and sharing your time with Ms. Williams. Mr. Martin.
You know, I want to take a second to correct the record on what I heard previously, because you know all Republicans do is lie. You had Carmen over here talking about Donald Trump reduced drug prices by 1,500%. Carmen, I think you need a math lesson. You can't reduce prices more than 100%, so maybe go do some math. I know MAGA doesn't quite understand math. Ollie's talking about something regarding Lisa Murkowski, but I don't think that you've actually read the congressional record, Ollie, because maybe you would realize that Lisa Murkowski's provisions that she thought she got completely taken away by Donald Trump. So you don't know what you're talking about. All these people want to talk about Washington, D.C., but have never been there and have never actually done the work. I work with Congresswoman Jackson Lee specifically on a lot of these issues. In regards to environmental issues, here's what's the deal. It was Congresswoman Jackson Lee who came forward and filed the earmark request to go and bring the air markers, particularly for our district, to make sure that we can understand the pollution that we are seeing. Ultimately, when Donald Trump got into the White House, what did he do? He took it away. I'm going to be very unapologetic. Unless the money can go back towards the EPA so we can go forward and actually go and get some real relief from this, I'm not voting for any of these Republican budgets. We need people that can be unapologetic about that. I will not vote for any type of Republican budget that Donald Trump puts forward that defunds the work that we've done in Fifth Ward, the work that's been done in Kashmir Gardens. We have come way too far in this country and in this fight to be able to stop it. But in addition to that, I believe in correcting the record from Republicans because they're completely clueless on this issue.
Thank you, Mr. Martin. Because we had two candidates mentioned, we're going to give Ms. Montiel a rebuttal first, and then Mr. Ollie.
30 seconds. 30 seconds.
Okay, let's start by quoting what President Trump said, because we know medication is extremely high in the United States. The other thing I want to say is I don't care what you say, Asaya. You have what, 2% in the polls? You need to attack your own Democrats, not me, if you want to raise in the polls. So put your attention in other people like Menifee, but not me.
Thank you, Ms. Montiel. Mr. Knox?
I must go
30
with
seconds.
Ollie.
You said I don't know what I'm talking about. You need to check the record. In Congress, you negotiate. And she did not sign anything until she got what she wanted for the people that she served. And that's the way it works. You have to negotiate.
Thank you, Mr.
I would
Knox.
love to go to. That was mentioned, right?
Oh, well, it's only when you're first mentioned, then they get to respond, then we have to move on. The only reason she was able to respond was because Mr. Duncan had given her some more time.
All right, well, 40,000 donors, Carmen. I know you wish you had, but you don't.
Thank you, Mr. Martin. Now we're going to
Okay,
move
he
on
mentioned
to
me
our...
again.
We gotta
move on.
Everyone, we got to move on to the next question.
All right, so we're getting lively here. So
Are
our
we still
next
breaking? I thought
question.
we were
Still
breaking.
breaking after that
Oh,
question.
yes, yes, absolutely.
Yes.
Thank you guys for reminding me. We're going to take a quick break on AfroVibes TV. We're going to get back to our next question after a quick 10-minute break. Thank you.
What's the next question?
We are shooting ourselves in the foot for the long term if we pull back now. I have friends who are seeing their projects stalled. Even wealthy oil companies right now are struggling because some of their groups are not able to make headway because of these policies. And I recently met with the American Small Business League, and most businesses in America are small businesses. And we should be investing in those businesses more than the handouts we give to large businesses. That would benefit more Americans, and especially in marginalized communities. Small businesses are one of the surest paths to lift them up, and there is so much we can be doing in terms of other renewable energy sources that we should be investing right now for the next 50 years, and especially providing jobs in these marginalized communities.
Thank you, Mr. Curie. Ms. Montiel?
Well, energy is the lifeline of Texas and Houston. And I believe that the first thing we need to do is implement trade education in our high schools So that will help especially the community that is on the east side of the district to be ready to take those jobs at the lower level. That's necessary. Also, the shift in the policies in energy has affected the industry because they're either too regulated and in a way that they cannot really perform, and there's been a lot of layoff also in energy. And then now we have, thanks to President Trump, there's been deregulation. But sadly, the energy companies with the deregulation, the prices has gone down, and they don't feel like, drilling more because they're not making it the money they are expecting. So it's a catch-22 that we're living with the energy company industry. So we need to target that part. We need to prepare at the lower level with trade education. But also we need to start playing, sadly, as to every time we change administrations, the regulations and the policies are changed and they keep on affecting, and instead of us moving forward, we are just like go back and then get ahead, and it's putting us in a stagnation situation. And that's my proposal, to work together in Congress and with the president and with the oil companies, since we're here in Texas, to move forward with energy production.
Thank you, Ms. Montiel. Mr. Duncan, please.
As a Texan and as an independent candidate, I'm more of a protectionist politician, meaning that we shouldn't globalize all of our resources. All of our environmental plans shouldn't be necessarily connected with the rest of the globe. So for me, as a Texan, I support using fossil fuels. I think renewables are experimental. We don't know a lot about them. They're experimental. And so, but the fossils are something that we could count on. We could count on what we can do with oil. We could count on what we can do with coal. These are proven energy sources. And so I think in terms of all things political, I think we should have a marketplace where the consumer could take a choice of what kind of fuel they want to use. I don't like the whole idea that we're forced off of fossil fuels. I have a problem with that. So that's the setup that we need. We need a setup where the people can make a choice. Now, both of these things are good for the economy. Both of them produce lots and lots of jobs. So if you're here in the Houston area, refineries are part of your life. Roughnecking and people doing oil rigs, that's a part of your DNA. So I'll leave it right there. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Duncan. Ms. Williams, please.
Thank you. When we think of the energy capital of the world, everyone thinks Texas. Well, it's not Texas. It's actually Houston that is the energy capital of the world. There's no official global ranking for cities for this title, though Houston is consistently referred as the energy capital of the world. And Texas' 18th Congressional District, which covers much of the inner city of Houston, job creation in the energy sector can focus on the booming renewable and energy transition fields, as well as energy efficiency. This builds on Houston's existing strengths as a major energy hub. And I shared with you that when I became precinct chair for precinct 490, that I took my precinct from the lowest voting precinct and I took it up to the second highest voting precinct, because I believe in building on the foundation that is solid here in Houston, Texas. And we have a solid energy sector here in Houston, Texas. I don't want to tear it down. I want to move those things that are not working in the energy sector here. And I want to build on the foundation and continue to grow our very great energy sector here so that Houston can continue to be the energy hub of the world.
Time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Williams. Ms. Jones?
Thank you. I'm sorry I had to leave before because I had a pre-existing commitment. But thank you for the question. For me, renewable energy just isn't about protecting the environment. It's about creating economic opportunity where it's needed the most. I come from communities that historically have been left out of economic growth. Too often, big projects bypass black and brown neighborhoods, leaving us with pollution, while others get the jobs, and I'll work to change that. For example, I've worked on the north side with the creosote and all these things that negatively affect, and batch plants on the southern part of Texas 18. First, I will fight for federal investments in workforce training programs that specifically target marginalized communities so residents can earn certifications in solar, wind, and battery technologies where they live. Second, I will push to require local hiring and union standards for federal renewable energy contracts that ensures these new jobs are good paying union jobs that go to the people most impacted by climate change and economic inequality. Third, I'll fight to bring clean energy development hubs, solar farms, weatherization programs, electric vehicle infrastructure into neighborhoods in Texas 18, creating both immediate construction jobs and long-term maintenance jobs. And finally, because I'm a dues-paying union member from a union family, I know that when workers are organized, they don't get jobs, that they have careers with dignity and security. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Jones.
Knox.
Yes, Mr. Knox, okay, just want to make sure keep on track.
Yes, first of all, I am a union member, still paying union dues, United Auto Workers Union. I would certainly inform the 18th Congressional District of what's coming so they can prepare or get the right training so they can get some of these good jobs. These are good jobs, and we need more and more energy. So I like the idea of drill, baby, drill, because, you know, you need those jobs. People need good paying jobs to take care of their families, to do things that they need to do. And to do those things, it takes good paying jobs. So I would inform the 18th Congressional District what's coming and what training they would have to go through to get these jobs. But the main thing is informing people what's coming. People need to know. They don't need to be ignorant of anything. They need to know what's coming. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Knox.
All right, let's move on to the next question.
Offenses that have been made against our own people. Right now, even small businesses have been affected as they keep on breaking in. They're breaking in even in my gated community, stealing the mail. So I believe we need to secure the border, and we need to reform immigration and make legal immigration faster and better so people can come legally, as I did, to this country. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Montiel. Mr. Duncan?
Again, I'm a protectionist American politician. Immigration could never be a priority for me. It could never. So I would be for securing the border, but we have so many domestic problems, and we have so many Americans that need jobs that they would be my only priority. In every metric, we have Americans who can do everything from engineering to farming, but our labor has been dismantled for about the last 40 years in favor of bringing people in. So that's my position. Immigration can never be a priority for me. I'm only concerned about the people here in the United States who are desperate for American opportunities, whether it's universities, whether it's playing sports. The U.S. people are the only people who can vote for me, and they'd be my only priority. That's going to do it.
Thank you, Mr. Duncan. Ms. Williams?
When it comes to securing the border, I am for securing the border. I've actually vocally spoken about this very publicly. However, I've also spoken about constructing legislation, since I have actually authored a bill that was adopted into the U.S. Senate by former Senator Mary Landrieu of Louisiana. I've also spoken about actually constructing legislation that will allow one of the parents of children who are receiving an education in the United States of America to stay here while their children continue their education in our country. I do not want to disrupt any child's education, and that would require for one parent to stay and one parent to voluntarily deport. I do not believe in giving incentives to people for volunteering to deport our country. Also, when it comes to medical insurance, we the taxpayers' dollars, I don't want to focus on crime and call everyone who has migrated here a criminal and point and say they're the cause for crime rising up in our country. That's just simply not the truth. The truth is that illegal immigration places a strain on our social welfare system, on our economical system, and on our judicial system as well, and on our taxpayers' dollars. And so I want to ease the taxpayers' pockets by introducing this sort of legislation. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Williams. Representative Jones?
This issue is personal to me. My ex-husband was an immigrant, and my stepchildren are immigrants. In fact, though, hablo español. I've seen firsthand how our broken immigration system keeps families in limbo. That's why I believe there must be a faster path to citizenship, not endless delays or political games. I will also fight to protect birthright citizenship because it's enshrined in the 14th Amendment and it's a cornerstone of equal rights in this country. So if I had to choose, I'd support faster asylum hearings and expanded work permits. Families fleeing violence shouldn't be trapped for years while they wait. They should be able to work legally, provide for their children, and contribute to our economy. And this matters to me deeply in District 18. Houston is one of the most diverse cities in America. Our district is powered by immigrants. This country is empowered by immigrants in our healthcare system, construction, small business, restaurants, childcare. Immigrants don't weaken us, they strengthen us. So in Congress, I will fight for an immigration system that's fair, fast, humane, protects birthright citizenship, and provides a clear path to citizenship. And I would not militarize our borders. It's not right. I would not be separating families. And in Texas 18, I believe immigrants are not outsiders. They're our neighbors, our coworkers, and our family.
Thank you, Representative Jones. Mr. Knox?
I believe in legal immigrants. Come here legally, do it the right way. Second, as the congressman from Texas, every person that's here that got caught up in the dragnet, we have people with green cards, right to work, and visas, legally. Some of them are incarcerated right now. As their congressman, I would go get them. I would tell the ICE, I said, look, Mr. Hernandez he has a right to be here, or whoever. They have a right to be here, so let them go. Why are they here? Why are they here? We have to do things we are a country with laws. And I would do it the right way, make an appointment to go see ICE and to explain these things to him. As I said again, green card, visa, right to work, they're here legally. And they should not be incarcerated, and I will go get them as their congressman. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Knox. And Mr. Huey?
So in general, on my platform, I want to advocate for sensible policies. This is near and dear to my heart. I know plenty of people who have crossed the southern border, not just from Latin America, but also other parts of the world. Last year, Texas Monthly explained to the American people, well, Texans, but I've been trying to tell the American people in general that our government, both the governor and various presidents, have time and time again not done something about this, okay? They do a lot of border theatrics to try to rally their base to support them. But in reality, they don't go after businesses, for example, that could put a stop to it. Why? Because their phones would be off the hook, right? And they know this. A Republican governor over 15 years ago here in Texas tried to work with Republicans on something sensible, work permits that made sense, okay? And they didn't buy it. They liked the fact that the vice president is making up stories about immigrants eating cats. They're not trying to solve the problem, they're trying to make it worse. And I've been watching a immigration tracker for months, a lot of the people in detention, only 1 out of 3 have been criminals, okay? They're wasting time going after mothers picking up kids after school instead of making a sensible solution
10
on
seconds was yours.
work permits, okay? We've been trying to do this my entire life, to have a sensible work permit system. Yes, use the limited resources to go after criminals, but not people who are actually working hard, working
Thank you.
in this country.
Thank you, Mr. Dewey.
Yeah.
All right, candidates, we're gonna move on to the next question.
Thank you very much. We're going on to federal policy. Would you support President Trump's push to allow the National Guard to patrol the streets of Houston? Why or why not? We will begin with Mr. Duncan.
Yeah, I would support that. I support safety. I think we all deserve to be able to live in a clean, safe environment. I think that the law-abiding people should be able to shop and live in clean neighborhoods and walk in and out of their houses. I live in one of the most crime-ridden communities in Houston. And all the people that I know that are committing crimes, we all still live in the same neighborhood. They never lock their doors. Their doors are open all the time. And I see them because they are committing all kind of crimes. And the way they have it set up here, and I've talked to law enforcement people. I say, if you know they committing a crime, why don't y'all just pick them up? They say, well, we're building the case on them. I say, why don't you let them know they under investigation or something? And to let them know, we think you're selling dope here. We want you to know we think you're selling dope. That way it acts as a deterrent, not to this whole thing where the criminals are just running free and with impunity and just destroying our communities, our shopping malls. So yeah, I support any security measures to make my life safer for my family, my children,
10
and
seconds.
everybody. So yeah, so I would support that. I really would.
Thank you, Mr. Duncan. Ms. Williams.
Thank you again for this gracious invitation and for giving us all an opportunity to project our views. I would not support the National Guard being here in Houston, Texas. I was born and raised in Houston, Texas, right in 5th Ward, Texas. And I back the blue 100%. I believe our law enforcement officers on every level, local, state, and federal, are doing a phenomenal job with keeping us safe in Houston. What I would suggest is that we hire more law enforcement officers, more HPD officers, more officers on the local, state, and federal level. But we don't need the National Guard. We don't need military forces here in Houston. We are not under siege in our city. Houston is a beautiful place to live. It's a safe place to live for individuals, for families, for those who want to begin businesses, for those who want to come here for education, whatever it is you may want to come to Houston for. I'm telling you, our law enforcement officers here in Houston, Texas, on every level are doing a phenomenal job, and they do not need any assistance whatsoever from any National Guard or any military forces. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Williams. Representative Jones.
Hell to the no. Absolutely not. I would never support Donald Trump's push to send the National Guard to patrol the streets of Houston. Here's why. Houston is not a war zone. It's our home. Deploying the military against our own citizens is dangerous, undemocratic, and unconstitutional. We don't need soldiers with guns patrolling our neighborhoods. What we need are jobs, opportunities, strong schools, and investment in public safety that builds trust and not fear. This matters especially in District 18, where Black and brown communities already face over-policing and systematic inequities. Putting the National Guards in our streets would only escalate tensions and put our young people at risk. I've spent my career fighting against unnecessary, heavy-handed policing. When Greg Abbott and Donald Trump tried to intimidate us during the quorum break, I didn't back down. I won't back down here. I was offended that they would send the FBI after us. In Congress, I'll fight for federal policies that keep us safe from the right way and that protect us from the federal government targeting us, more funding for community policing, violence prevention, mental health services, and job creation, not turning Houston into an armed camp. So my answer is simple. I stand with the people of Houston, not with Donald Trump's fear tactics, and I will fight to make sure that the National Guard never patrols not one street in the city of Houston. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Jones. Mr. Knox?
Actually, if Houston was like Chicago or Washington DC, I would support it. But we are not there yet. And I pray to God we never get there. I think the Blue is doing a great job. I support the Blue here in Houston. And as I said, Houston is not Chicago, nor is it Washington DC. So there's no need for it here. But if we had those problems, then I would support it. But right now, I would not support the National Guard here in Houston. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Knox. Mr. Huey?
Seeing soldiers walk around in the streets with machine guns reminds me of my time in Nigeria as a child, and I never would have thought I'd see that in the United States. I know people who are active duty military and retired who think it's a bad idea, it's a bad precedent. We have various levels of law enforcement in this country. We even have federal police, if you want to call them that are skilled at tracking down criminals and helping out and working with local law enforcement. These kinds of partnerships are what are needed. If there are gaps somewhere in the country, if we have a particular need or a particular threat here in Houston, sure, let's have some federal support or federal dollars to beef up our own local law enforcement and give them resources that they need. Public safety is paramount, but the National Guard is not supposed to be used for that, okay? We need to, remember that, honestly, like, we have a higher homicide rate than, say, San Francisco. Yes, we're a very large city, one of the largest cities in the country. We're a very spread out city. People I know in rural Texas, maybe they don't understand this. It's very difficult to patrol the whole area, and some criminals can't hide. But that's where we dedicate more resources in a sensible and pragmatic way to solve any problems that we have that local law enforcement are struggling with.
10 seconds. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Huey. Ms. Montiel?
Yes, of course. Houston is second in crime in the nation. At times, we're first behind Chicago. We switch place, Chicago and Houston. We need to protect our citizens. We're in a city where our law enforcement is on their budget, and we have a low number of officers because they're risking their lives. Just a few weeks ago, just recently, the Commissioner's Court cut the budget for our law enforcement. So obviously, we need help. Our small businesses are closing or moving because they keep on breaking into their businesses. Our lives are at risk, and the first job of any and every elected official is to protect their citizens. So, of course, since the city of Houston, which is a blue city, because the problem is the blue cities is where the crime is high and rampaging, cannot control the crime, then we need the help of the National Guard. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Montiel. We're going to go on to the next question. Steve?
All right, candidates, thank you so much for staying within time. We're going to move on to question number 7 of the night, and this is in regards to the homeless and housing. 2-part question. First question, what type of federal housing subsidies or initiatives would you recommend to address housing issues across District 18? That's part 1. And part 2 is, where would you allocate these funds? We're going to start with Ms. Williams.
Thank you. I am a great admirer of former Congress member Barbara Jordan. Barbara Jordan was a strong advocate for fair housing. When we speak of fair housing, who decides what is fair? It's never the people. It is always the politician. If we truly want to focus on fair housing, that means for everyone, low income, middle income, rich, wealthy, working class, and those who are on public benefits. We have to be able to unify the majority of Houstonians, and we have to put it on the ballot. We have to ask them, what do you unilaterally believe, what do you say fair housing is? And when we come to an overwhelming consensus, when we get to an overwhelming consensus of their answer, then legislation can be constructed fairly
10 seconds.
when it comes to fair housing. And so I want to take it back to the people. Too much power has been taken from the people of Texas's 18th Congressional District for generations. I'm restoring that power back to them.
Thank you, Ms. Williams. Representative Jones?
Thank you. Housing isn't just a policy for me, it's personal. I lived through housing insecurity as a child and as a single mother. So I know what it feels like to not know where you're gonna sleep. And I also bring experience as serving as a chair of the Housing and Community Development Committee when I was on City Council. So I've worked on these issues firsthand. On part one of your question, I would fight for stronger federal housing subsidies and initiatives, especially programs like CDBG grants, which fund affordable housing and neighborhood revitalization, and HOPWA funding for housing opportunities with people with AIDS. I just helped get $50 million for CUNY Homes, which is in Texas 18, for the revitalization of that area. I would also push to expand Section 8 vouchers, increase investments in low-income housing tax credits, and fund permanent supportive housing to reduce homelessness. On part two, I would make sure these funds are allocated equitably, targeting the communities with the greatest need right here in District 18, from 3rd Ward to Acres Homes to Cashmere Gardens and Sunnyside. That means more affordable housing units, wraparound services, and ensuring families aren't displaced by gentrification. The bottom line is, housing is a human right. In Congress, I'll bring both my lived experience and my proven record to fight so that every family in Texas has a safe, stable, and affordable place to call home. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Representative Jones. Mr. Knox?
I think the homeless, I concur with what has been said about addressing the homeless problem. Now, each homeless person, I think I would give them a evaluation to see where they're at in their mind. I have dealt with homeless people at my church, and I hate to say it, I really hate to say it, but there are many of them that want to live on the streets. Now, I'm not saying all, but there's a certain number that want to live on the streets. There was a young man living in one of our RVs. He illegally came on the property, just started living there. I talked to him, and I said, look, man, I said, I'll help you. Get on your feet. I'll help you. But he didn't want any help. And this is just one case, but there are many other cases. Some of them want to live on the street, and some of them want help. They need help, and I would be there as the congressman from Texas to help them. Those that want help, we would help them to get the help that they need, and also find a way to get them off the streets. Those that won't help, we would do that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Knox. Mr. Hewitt?
Yeah, so for decades, I've known people who have worked in homeless ministries here in Houston, and for people who actually care about them and want to see them housed, that's great. There are some people who may not care or don't feel like they deserve the help, but honestly, even if you're completely selfish and don't want to help them at all, it would actually help Americans in general, because providing services for those in need would lower costs for the country over the long term. Getting them housed would actually give a boost to the country as a whole. So whether you're going to do it through grants or credits or something like that, one big problem is this, right? I mean, a lot of naysayers about government don't like government spending. I think it's important that we have government spending, but we got to be careful about how it's done. We have seen at times corruption in the way some of these housing projects have gone on. We got to be very careful with those dollars and make sure they actually get to where they're going to help people. In general, not just with housing the homeless and affordable housing, but I know people who voted for Trump literally because they were saying they want to be able to afford a house someday. And I was kind of feeling sad about trying to explain to them none of his policies are making it easier for you to buy a house anytime soon. So even if we tackle affordable housing, we got to tackle all the other stuff that's raising the cost of living for Americans in general.
Thank you, Mr. Hewitt. Ms. Montiel?
The sad thing about homelessness is that the majority of them are veterans. And we need to take better care of our veterans who put their life on the line for freedom and to save us. So I think the first thing we need to do is check them for mental illness, drug addiction, and for me the most important thing is to house them and give them also trade education so they can join the workforce. And once they feel again valuable for the community, things will change. How will I accomplish that? Well, first, of course, we allocate federal money, but remember, we have $40 billion that is missing, that can be very well used for my plan that I'm gonna say. Also, we have opportunity zones in the areas that I said. Opportunity zones bring investments, investors bring jobs, jobs brings housing, and with housing, we have better education. Also, what we're gonna do is we have a lot of empty buildings and warehouses and houses in the east side of the district. I think we need to buy those with the money we have, with the $40 billion or any federal money that I will allocate, and then we'll rebuild it to house all the homeless we have in the city of Houston. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Montiel. Mr. Duncan?
Hey, I kind of like to get a little clarity on the question. So one part of it is solving homelessness, and the other part of it is creating affordable housing?
The first part of it is about housing subsidies and initiatives you would implement in the district, and then where would you allocate funds as far as subsidies?
For homeless people?
For homeless, yeah.
In terms of homeless people, we're dealing with a lot of mental illness. And so for this generation of homeless people that we have on the streets now, I would just kind of do a Band-Aid kind of work. But what I would do is I would concentrate on making sure we don't have a new generation of homeless people. So I would say maybe 4th grade, when I was in school, we had health education. So now I would teach mental health education starting in the 4th grade, to teach our children how to deal with disappointment, to teach our children how to deal with betrayal. Most of these people are there and they're injured because maybe somebody physically or sexually abused them. So I would go ahead and start implement a program on how to teach people coping skills, which would eliminate a lot of our people on the street. Lastly, I've created an affordable housing program where we cap the per square foot charge that builders could charge for housing. All the money that comes from federal instruments, we could cap what they charge per square foot for building. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Duncan, and we are going to move on to our next question of the night.
All right, we're on question number 8, and we are in the area of education. Access to education has become a major issue on the state level, with the voucher system, also known as education savings accounts, on a federal level with limits on student aid. What type of education programs would you create to fill the gap? And we're going to begin with Representative Jolanda Jones.
So I voted against vouchers when it came before the House, because vouchers is a defunding of public education. I also fought against having public money being spent on private schools. I fought against that bond where they wanted to do that as well. Vouchers are bad for education, and when I'm in Congress, I'll fight to sufficiently fund the Department of Education. And I would stop firing teachers. I would absolutely require that teachers, for example in HISD, be certified, because our children deserve teachers who actually have been taught how to teach children. So right now there's this whole effort to defund public education. Is wrong. I'll fight against it, and I will use every tool in my toolbox to make sure that access to public education is fair. I would also, as it relates to public education, also try to relieve debt loans for public education in college, because the best deterrent to crime is a good education and a good job. And America needs to be dedicated to that, and I will do that as your next Congresswoman.
Thank you, Representative Jones. Mr. Knox?
What I would do, college is not for everybody. It's just not for everybody. My goal would be, right now, I hold 2 master's licenses. I have a master's license in plumbing in the state of Texas. I have a master's license in the state of California in plumbing. I attended Trade Technical College in Los Angeles, California. They teach plumbing, they teach AC, they teach carpentry, and they teach electrical. When you come out of that school after 2 years, you have book knowledge and hands-on. This is what our young men need. This is what a lot of people need. I'm speaking about accredited school. When you come out of there, you can make from $40,000 up, and later on you can build your own, you can start your own business. This is what I would push in Congress, to get money for that, and make sure that it goes for that nobody down the line could take it and put it over here or over there. Accredited trades is the key to many of our young men. As I said, college is not for everybody. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Knox. Mr. Huey, please.
So education is near and dear to my heart. My parents studied to be teachers. I got within 1 class of being certified to be a teacher. I thought about doing it, and I might still do it someday. I have a lot of teacher friends. Right now, somebody from my church was telling me at their school, Durham Elementary, teachers are being fired. Good teachers are being fired for speaking up for what's good for kids. And the story of education in America, the lack of it, actually is a lot of sins of commission and sins of omission, okay? So we have a really weird funding system, and a lot of that is based on that some people have money and some people don't, and we're the wealthiest nation in the world, and a lot of other countries have much better education systems than we do. It doesn't make sense, and it's because the way education is funded is very strange. But also, I was talking to a lady who has a nonprofit in the 5th Ward for education, and she was explaining that we need a more holistic approach to helping these schools and these students. We need to support the families, and a lot of these cuts to communities, food assistance, healthcare, not enough good job opportunities, kind of make the whole problem with students' education even worse. So when I was at Rice, an education professor felt like we need a Marshall Plan for education. That's like when we rebuilt Europe with funds, and we really need to overhaul the way that things work here in America.
Thank you, Mr. Huey. Ms. Montiel?
Well, I agree in parental rights. I believe in the voucher and the freedom of the parents to decide where the children are going to go to school, because after all, we pay that with our property taxes. And our schools are failing us. United States rank, depending on what we measure, between 9th and 25th in education around the world. And we are America. We're supposed to be the best of the best. And since the public education is failing us, the parents have the right to decide what they're going to do. That money is not coming from the government, it's money that we pay in taxes. The other thing is this whole thing about college education. It is so sad. Even in school, they're brainwashing our children. In college, they're brainwashing our children. The kids already have federal loans to go to college that is paid with our money, and after 20 years, it's forgiven if they pay on time the minimum. So now the Democrats want us to again pay their debt. So they'll be using all that money to fund DEI and the brainwashing of our children to go to the left, and that needs to be stopped. We parents should have more right, and the college should be accountable for the death of the children, the debt of the children that they acquire in college. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Montiel. Mr. Duncan?
Okay, so my children attended private school. And the one thing that I noticed is that the public schools were very, very mismanaged. Very mismanaged. There's no discipline. There's no structure. Starting at the top. Here in Houston, for example, we had a former HISD board president indicted for stealing money. And she's detailing in federal court how she took bribery payments in Walmart parking lots. Now, as a parent, we don't want our children in that environment. I believe that we should have the choice to pick what we want. All right, so the public schools are poorly managed. And I think the private schools are better managed. And that's what we have to have. So what we're gonna have to do is we're gonna have to reestablish what we want from a public school education. You know, what are we trying to teach the children? We want them to develop social skills, if we want them to learn basic reading, writing, and math skills, if we want to prepare them for college and universities, we have to reestablish what the end goal is. But in everything, in the whole political sphere, in the whole American way of doing things, we have to have a choice. And the choice should always be our own.
10 seconds.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Duncan. Ms. Williams?
Thank you very much. We have to have a holistic approach. I went to St. Joseph Catholic School, which is a private school. The only way I went to St. Joseph Catholic School was because my mother worked as a maid. And St. Joseph Catholic School taught me so much. They didn't just teach me how to read and write and how to do math. They taught me how to speak Spanish. They taught me etiquette. They taught me so many things. But I also left St. Joseph Catholic School and I went to Garden Villas Music Academy, right there in South Park. And at Garden Villas Music Academy, that's where I first picked up a flute in the 4th grade. That's a public school. After Garden Villas Music Academy, I went on to Hartman Middle School, where I continued on in band under the greatest teacher, I think, in Houston, Texas, besides Mrs. Cummings that taught me the flute in Garden Villas Elementary School. And Hartman Middle School is also a great public school. Our public schools, I don't like people talking bad about them. Are they underfunded? Yes, they are. You have Westbury High School and you have Westside High School. They're both HISD schools. The difference between those schools is not the racial demographic, it is the economical demographic. We have people in Westbury who are working class people and low income people. However, they do not make the income that the people in Westside, that the parents in Westside make. Public schools are great. They're just underfunded.
Thank you. At this time, we're going to go on to our next question, and it will be followed by closing remarks.
Well, actually, due to time, we're gonna have to wrap up. So, candidates, thank you for your answers to the questions tonight. We're gonna give you 1 minute to make a closing statement. I won't give a question to frame it. You can say anything you want, starting with Ms. Williams, and then we'll go back up to Representative Jones.
Again, I want to thank you, say thank you to Afro Vibes Television. Thank you to our moderators. You did great, by the way. Next time there's a moderation that needs to be done anywhere in the United States, they definitely need to call on you guys. I definitely recommend you guys, both of you, honestly. I'm not trying to shine you on in any kind of way, any more than I'm trying to shine on the voters in Texas' 18th Congressional District. The fact of the matter is I'm not a candidate who says I will, because I have done. I fed our veterans in Houston, Texas for 17 years. I've paid for our veterans to live in hotels for 17 years here in Houston, Texas. I've donated instruments to public schools like Cornelius Elementary, where Dr. Alma Allen's daughter was the principal at that time. I've ran the summer youth jobs program where I hired 100 low-income youth across Houston, Texas during the summertime. That eased the pain for their parents.
Thank you, Ms.
I've created jobs domestically and internationally, and I want to put the money and the power back into the hands of all of the residents in Texas 18th Congressional District. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Williams. Mr. Duncan?
All right, here in this special election, Houston, we have an opportunity to do something really, really special. I'm running as an independent candidate. I spent the last 10 years passing out flyers to even people who may be watching this program. We have opportunity to chart our own path. The two-party system has failed us. Our communities have been abandoned. We have opportunity to create a new political language. We could create the future that we want. We could create affordable housing. We could create affordable college and universities. Everything is at our fingertip. It starts with changing our direction. Our leadership lost its way about 20 or 30 years ago. Now's an opportunity for us as citizens to redirect our path. This is what we could do. This is a very special election. I want to go to Washington to work for you. A party didn't send me here. You sent me here. I'm working and I'm committed to supporting you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Duncan. Ms. Montiel?
Uh, First of all, I want to thank you all for giving us this opportunity. I'm not a politician. I'm not using the political talking points just to get a promotion and still do nothing. I'm just a concerned citizen that knows the problems of this city, that moved to this city in 1991 and have seen how the city is getting destroyed, how our city is moving to the left, because all of these problems with illegal immigration and crime and bad education is part of the plan and the manual of the left. Remember, the city is blue, the county is blue, and it's time that we get representation for somebody that cares about the people and cares about our family, cares about our faith, cares about our country and our constitutional rights. I am somebody that have raised a lot of money for the betterment of the city, that created a foundation that expanded to 3 different countries, that raised 3 successful children with masters, and now one have 2 more years in chemical engineering. I will do with the district what I did with my children. I believe in empowerment. Vote for me. Do something different, not the same old. Houston, we have a problem, and I am your solution. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Montiel. Mr. Huey?
Thanks for having me this evening. I really appreciate it. A party didn't send me here, but only Democrats can speak their mind in Congress right now. Senator Murkowski already said in the spring all the Republicans are too scared to do anything. So we're the only ones that can help the country right now. Unemployment is at what, a 4-year high right now. It just came out. Inflation is the highest since January, so clearly these policies aren't working out. That's why I want to advocate sensible policies on Capitol Hill. The establishment playbook has not been working out for us, all right? That's why I'm advocating we have to change our approach. We can't just keep doing the status quo. It's not working for us. I'm going to work with whoever I need to get things done on Capitol Hill. Also, I'm not beholden to any corporate interests. I'm just relying on grassroots supporters like yourself. And so that's why I want to stamp out corruption in Congress. So support me. Go check out Huey.vote.
Thank you, Mr. Huey. Mr. Knox?
I'm not a politician, but I'll tell you this. Our seniors, I have you in my heart. I want to give you a $20,000 tax-free gift. You need it. Home repairs, you need it. Our Spanish Americans, you that are here, I'm telling you, I will come for you. You have a green card, you have a right to work, you have a visa, I will come for you. All I need to do is make an appointment with ICE and find out why are you there. And you should not be there. Give me a chance. I want to serve, not be served. If I don't get the job done, vote me out. As I said, I retired from General Motors. And if you don't do your job, you won't have a job. Give me an opportunity to serve you. Give me an opportunity. And also, we have mothers with children with autism. You need help, and I want to help you. I am the solution to your problem. We need places on the north side and the south side, and in city gas and Sunnyside.
Thank you, Mr. Knox. And we're going to follow up with Representative Jones. 1 minute.
Thank you, Afro Vibes TV. I'm Representative Jolanda Jones, and I serve in the Texas House of Representatives, and I'm asking you to send me to the U.S. House of Representatives. I was born and raised in Texas 18 in 3rd Ward. My Igbo name is Nneka. This fight is personal to me. From my grandmother's death after inadequate health care, to losing loved ones to gun violence and suicide, to serving abuse and housing insecurity as a single mom. I even had to flee the FBI and Texas Rangers during the quorum break to protect our voting and civil rights. I've worked with Congressman Turner and Jackson Lee, and I'm endorsed by Congressman Craig Washington. I've served as chair of the International Business Initiatives Committee, led trade missions to Africa, and I come from a union family. My mom was a union steward, and I'm a dues-paying member of the Texas State Employees Union. I believe in strong public education, and I'm a product of strong public
10
education.
seconds.
I've been elected 11 times by the people of Texas 18, and know that I'm surging in the polls with over 25%, 6 points ahead of the second place candidate, and more than 11 points ahead of the next Democrat. I've passed
Thank
legislation
you, Ms.
in a
Jones.
Republican-controlled legislative body. DC is broken. I won't fix it alone, but I'll give
Thank you,
him the
Representative
blues
Jones.
until we do. Wrap me up, send me to DC so that I can be
Thank
the
you,
president that Donald
Representative
Trump needs.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for joining us for tonight's debate. It's been an honor